for our growth. And so to take stock, take note of what things we need to change, or maybe is there something in our lifestyle that is not being favorable right now, or what could be favorable in our spiritual life, or so that's in terms of our material situation. His focus in that lecture was about basically using our material situation to connect with Krishna, and it's an art. So I think for myself that it's easier when we're regularly hearing about Krishna, either reading or hearing lectures or listening to audiobooks, because then we're absorbed in different aspects of Krishna consciousness, and those pop up in our daily lives, and we can connect things with Krishna. Even, for reading Bhagavad Gita, and I was just thinking when Kashyapya was blowing the conch this morning, I was thinking of, everyone in the Battle of Kurukshetra blowing their conches. It's like you can always start making connections with Krishna, and that's something, even in school, we try to have the children, when they're reading something, to connect what they're reading to themselves, connect it to maybe other books, connect it to the world. So as devotees as well, we can, whatever we're reading, we connect it to our lives, and then in the rest of the day, we can make connections. Oh, Krishna, and that makes Krishna consciousness alive, because then we're seeing Krishna showing us things during the day. And it helps us also remember Krishna. But it's a practice. So I was reading recently a book about growth mindset and how to help children overcome a fixed mindset, like, oh, I'm like this, I can't change, I'm not good at maths, I'm never going to be good at maths, or whatever. But more like, I can't do that yet. So that word yet is like the epitome of growth mindset. And I was explaining how, you might all know this, but it's good to kind of reflect on it regularly, that the way our brain works is that there's like connections between the neurons, neural pathways, and when you do something once, it's a very faint connection. But the more you do it, that connection becomes stronger. And that's why in education, we always try to revise what we've learned and connect with things that we already know, previous learning, prior knowledge, and all that. And so same with the practice, the more we do it, the stronger that connection becomes, and the easier it becomes. So if we're constantly making an endeavor to remember Krishna during our day, it'll get easier and easier. And that's basically that feeds our enthusiasm in our Krishna consciousness. And anyways, I was thinking that we can develop those neural pathways. So instead of connecting, and it's the same if it's a negative thing, like if you have a habit that's not favorable, then the more you do it, the stronger that is. And then sometimes you even do it without even thinking. And so then it's like having to kind of rewire our brain to do positive habits, to develop positive habits and practices. I was also thinking that nowadays, I don't know how it was 20, 30 years ago as an adult, because I was a child, but I feel like everyone's very, very busy. Would you agree that everyone's very busy? No? Yes? Super busy. And so we're living in Auckland, in a place a city where we have the most devotees in New Zealand. But at the same time, sometimes we can feel lonely in a crowd, like kind of get lost, even though there's so many devotees. it takes like a conscious endeavor to develop deeper connections, even if we're in an ashram, or I don't know, we live around devotees, but still, are we actually having those deeper connections with other devotees? And it doesn't have to be many, it can just be one. I was thinking of when I don't know if anyone's read or heard the Yamuna Devi's biography. And at one point, um, she kind of left the temple atmosphere and went to live with one friend, Srinatari. And at that time, that was so controversial because everyone lived at the temple. And so it's like she was like in Maya. But Prabhupada said, I can't remember the exact words, but like it's more powerful to have good association than, you know, like even if you're surrounded by a lot of devotees, are you having good association? Are you actually connecting on a deep level? At least with one devotee, where you can share, for example, this, like, what are my struggles? What is what I think are my next steps? What do you think? Maybe they have some insight to help us, or even just to listen, so that we're not doing this path alone, because it's hard to do it on our own, as we see the example of Jad Bharat in his past life, when he was trying to do it on his own. It's hard. And we have the example of Lord Chaitanya, and he's always surrounded by devotees, and he had his very, very, very close associates, you know, sort of Damodar and Mananda Roy. Yes, I was just reading about it and how they're, you know, helping him remember Krishna at night, singing bhajans and reciting shlokas that help him awaken his love for Krishna. And that's something that we can aspire to as well. Have devotees that we can share the nectar with, like it says in the Bhagavad Gita, that verse 10:9. Yeah, where we kind of encourage each other to feel more Krishna conscious. Anyways, today is celebration of Rath Yatra, and also the Gundicha Marjana, where we'll be cleansing the temple, cleansing our hearts. And I was just thinking how it's happening right now in Jagannath Puri, if I'm not mistaken. The huge Rath Yatra, and how the whole meaning behind Rath Yatra is actually trying to bring Krishna into our hearts. So we're pulling the ropes of Lord Jagannath chariot, and it's trying to bring him close to our hearts. It's the symbolism behind Rath Yatra. So that's our endeavor, our devotional endeavor, to try to be more present and bring Krishna back to Vrindavan, back to our hearts, where we can have that connection with Krishna in a loving kind of relationship. So it's a nice meditation to have. Yes. Does anybody have anything they'd like to comment or ask? No, just leave it at that. That's a whole other topic. All right. Trying to find our next step in our spiritual life. It's an adventure, the journey, and we can help each other. Shri Bhagavatam ki, Shri Prabhupada ki.